Get this started. Normally we'd be coming to you from the, the studio in the bonus
garage.
room over the garage on the north side of Cary. This time we are in the studio on an Amtrak train leaving Cary, heading for Charlotte. And this is the Triangle Talk Show.
Just cut the crap, kid. I want to know what the big talk's all about.
I don't think we should talk about this.
Then we talk all night.
Let's give them something to talk about.
Another night of hearing myself talk.
Stop me if you've heard this one. Talk is cheap, yo.
With a little less talk and a lot more action.
I don't wanna
Talk to me.
So knock it off with the yickety yak, the yakety yak.
Let's tell it like it is and how it could be. How it was and, of course, how it should be.
keep that motor mouth moving morning, noon, and night. And we keep on talking, baby. You know you're bound just to drive me away.
And I am Gary Pierce, and I am sitting here with my wife.
Cindy Pierce.
She speaks.
I speak,
She
yes.
won't appear on camera, but she
That's
speaks.
right.
And before we get into the rest of the talk show, we are also here with Tim Nickens, who is a North Carolina Train Host Association volunteer. What is that?
Volunteer is we ride the trains in order to help passengers with either points of interest along the way, or with seating, or just general help with the North Carolina trains. And it's actually on the Piedmont trains, and also the Carolinian from Charlotte to Rocky Mount is what we do.
And what kind of actual stuff do you gave me the list of the official duties. What really happens?
We just help with the passengers, or we help with conductor. Conductor needs assistance with anything. Main thing is just be if we can help with information. If the customer has rider has a question about one of the stops, or the station along the stop, or maybe points of interest along the way, we try to fill in there, and also to help when we have disabled riders on the train. We also help with those too. So once they're seated,
Keep the kids entertained.
keep kids entertained. We've got stickers and little drawing books and
Yeah.
things of that nature, little activities for them.
Yeah, I was on a train once when here in Cary. It was like a grandmother and her grandson who was about 4 years old, and he was all excited, and then the train came up, and it was so big. And all of a sudden, he's like, I don't want to go on there. And so she got him on the train, walked all the way to the back. He's still crying, doesn't want to be on, wants to get off. And one of the volunteers came up and said, hey, why don't we go up front? And they took him up front to the club car. And when he came back, he was happy as could be and loved riding the train. So you all do a good job of helping some of those that are a little nervous maybe the first time.
They are, and actually once in a while we run into adults. That's their first, first train ride, and but it's like I said, I enjoy talking with the kids and also all the adults. I've been with them 5 years now, and you meet a lot of different people. And one trip I did meet an elderly couple who was on board, and she had a strong English accent. So I inquired, where she was originally from. She was from England. He had been in World War II. He was flew on a B-17 crew.
Wow.
And they met outside of London. Got married, came back here and lived. And it was an interesting story though. She had a beautiful British accent.
Oh,
So she had a strong British accent. You have a mild Southern accent. You could actually communicate?
Yes. Some people say that I have a extremely Southern accent, but we did. We had a good conversation though.
So it's a volunteer job. You don't get paid for it.
Do not get paid for it. I live in Moore County, so I drive. It's an hour drive from my house, and when I get off in this evening, I'll drive an hour back. But I enjoy railroads, always have, and it's my chance to reach out and meet people and just help people out and have a good time. Enjoy doing it.
Doing it.
5 years.
Okay. Do you see a big uptick in ridership?
Yes. Yeah, ridership. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to It used to be just like one train set back and forth from Raleigh to Charlotte. They added, they're getting ready to add also another set, which actually have three trains back and forth. So you'll have varying hours throughout the day that you can go back and forth from Raleigh to Charlotte.
Yeah, I heard that they were going to, instead of having the 5 p.m. from Charlotte back to Raleigh, they were going to have one at, I think, maybe 4 and then 7.
I haven't looked at the new schedule that much. I don't remember the time, but I know it does. When it leaves Charlotte, it does get back to Raleigh about 10:30. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they give you a very scheduled ride and meet, to hop on the train and travel. So.
Yeah, that's good. So, what do you think the reason is for the uptick in passengers?
Just the commute back and forth, on the highway. And two, it's less wear and tear on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next station stop is Jeremiah's station stop.
We've had an increase in ridership. Matter of fact, I think it was last year, year before last, we had the Piedmont had the largest percentage of rider increase of all Amtrak trains in the nation. So.
Well, I was one of those. I travel regularly back to Charlotte because my parents are still there. And I've been doing that for so long. And like you said, the traffic on the highway. And when I discovered that this took about as long, 3 hours as it did to drive, I was like, well, that's easy. And then I could just Uber my way, to my parents' house that last
and get
mile.
some work done sitting here in the seat.
and able to get work done because you have Wi-Fi, you have tables that we can sit at. I get a lot of work done those 3 hours when I take the 7 a.m. train. So.
Right, and there's quite a few students during the week too that ride, and I've met several professors that ride first week, come back second week. That's where they commute. So and like I said, you can get a lot of odd things done along the way too because of the like I said, the tables, and we have the outlets, for the computers,
power outlets and everything.
Yeah, and Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi on all the trains. So, right.
How often do you do this?
I try to do it once every month or so, but we have the retirees that work. We have some, like the President Association, he rides weekly, so some do ride weekly on the same day usually.
If somebody wants to get in on this says, wow, I'd like to do that, what do they do?
You can go online to, you can type in North Carolina Train Host Association, and there are several links on there that you can go to and get the information on there. You can download the forms, fill the forms out, and do that. And you'll attend a day training course here in Raleigh, and then you do 2 trips with a established volunteer, and then you're on your own.
There's something for you to do.
Yeah, I need more to do. We're pulling into Durham. You got to go to work, right?
Sure do. Great talking with you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Hey, you're pretty good at this. I just sit here and let you do the show.
It depends on what I'm interested in, and this I'm interested in. So.
Okay. We've done
another train podcast.
Yeah, I was going to go through a lot of the things.
This is not the Eurostar.
No, but I was going to go through a lot of things you already talked to Tim about this train, and then we'll talk about our European experience.
Okay.
But so you have taken this many times. This is my first ride on this train, and it's pretty smooth, pretty quiet.
Yep.
Seats are comfortable.
Yes, much better than an airplane.
It was the round trip ticket I bought was like $75.
Yeah.
Which is 2 tanks of gas, easy, and a drive to Charlotte and back is 1.5. So it's more expensive just pure dollars.
Yeah.
Well, pure gas tank dollars. But if you factor in the what the IRS is going to say, 50 cents or so, 55 cents a mile, then it's quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, when I do the drive, I play with my ham radio stuff, and I have a good time with the driving.
I think you're having a good time now.
Well, so far, yeah. We've done all podcasts so far. And I've got one of my ham radio portable things here. In fact, Tim told me what frequency to tune in to listen to the folks on the train. So
Yeah,
maybe
that'll be interesting.
they'll make some noise here. But you consider it, well, get some work done or take a nap or whatever.
Well, for me, it's reading, catching up on reading the news or reading books on my iPhone.
Yeah. So have you got any tips that you've learned as now a frequent rail traveler?
Oh, little things like some of these seats are closer together than others. So if
You know where to sit.
if you want a footrest, you've got to pick the right row, because for me, being a little bit shorter, sometimes, believe it or not, the seats are so far apart your feet can't reach the footrest. And once again,
This
not
is
something you find on
like,
the plane.
Not like coaching an airplane. Not like first class. Somewhere in between.
Even some of the first class is not even this nice in terms of space between the seats. So, yeah, and then they've got the club car, I guess you call it, where they have vending machines and free coffee, free tea, free bottles of water.
No free soda pop.
No, but you can get that out of a vending machine if you want. And the reason being is, you'd think that they might have somewhere you can get snacks, but this is the Carolinian and the Piedmont are the shorter routes just between Charlotte and Raleigh, so there's no reason to have, sandwiches and things available. So, if you want a granola bar or chips or something, they've got them in the vending machine. And, always find it clean. They do a good job of keeping it clean. The restrooms are clean. That's always important.
There's a restroom on board.
There's two, actually, on
each car?
each car, yeah. In the back or however you want. Depends on which way you're going.
All right. I was asking before we got on if they're over air conditioned or under or whatever. It's a hot day today. It hasn't reached its 91, I think, high yet.
Yeah,
but it was
probably not.
pretty toasty out there. And it's comfortable in here.
Yeah.
It's comfortable warm. It's a little on the warm side, but not bad.
My hair's up, so it's I'm like the weather bear. If my hair's up, I'm hot.
You're hot.
Yeah,
Oh, she's
right.
hot. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually if they don't have the doors open too much between the cars, then one, it's going to be better temperature, whether hot, warmer or cooler, and plus the noise. If you have that door open, it gets pretty noisy, just because of the sound between the cars.
Yep. So there's luggage racks over the seats.
Yep. And there's actually
one guy's
luggage
put
racks.
a fairly full-size suitcase up there,
they
but mostly
actually have luggage racks. In the back here where the bathrooms
got a
are.
full-size suitcase.
Full-size luggage rack. So if you got a really big one, you can put it there, or you can check it. Here you go.
I'm not really supposed to play business radio over a podcast, but everybody ignores that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a FCC secrecy thing, which I'll claim I don't know anything about, and then we'll play this podcast and say, you just said you knew it existed.
And by the way, it's 88, so it is.
Okay, it's pretty toasty.
Yeah.
You have encountered a few delays now and then.
Yeah, what I've learned is that because we are riding on Norfolk Southern tracks, Norfolk Southern trains, all the freight trains get priority. So when you're in a section where there's only one track and you can't, switch to another one, you got to stop and wait on the side. And so they figure out, where everybody should stop, and we got to wait for the freight train to go by.
And
but that's
occasionally
only
that's
a couple of minutes.
Well, but occasionally you've hit some significant delays.
One time, yeah, we did, and there was a problem with, I think it was a crossbar or something. I forget. There's something mechanical wrong with one of the crossings, and some people got off actually. Because it was about 30 minutes into just sitting there.
We were talking on the phone, and I was about to head out.
That's right. And
they
then all
weren't
of a sudden,
really telling you how long it was going to be.
Well, no, they don't know. When you got a repair going on, they're not going to know. So, but we were in an area where they could kind of pull forward far enough to let folks off in a safe place.
I guess it was at a crossing.
Yeah.
And somebody was hollering, "That's my car."
Yeah. That's my Uber.
But they just started to move, and they
right.
Said, "No, can't get off now."
No, can't get off now. And for those that got off, they couldn't get back on. That was the deal. They were very clear. The conductor was very clear that if you got off this train, you are not going to get back on. Even if we're just sitting there, he will not let you back on.
So as I was about to head out, they started moving and called me off.
But otherwise, generally on time, and it's it's 3 hours. If you don't have any delays.
Yep. You fired up your GPS app to see how fast the train is moving. What's max
top
speed have you seen?
is about 80, and we're not
80
doing
miles
that
an
right
hour.
now. 80 miles an hour. Yeah, we're not.
And where does that typically happen?
Surprisingly, in Morrisville. Because I've sent you texts going, we're coming in hot, because it's like he's just blazing.
But they weren't doing that from Cary to Durham.
No,
I don't think.
No, and that's the interesting part, is that usually we'll speed up when we're coming back, and maybe that's because we've been delayed. I don't know. And it just depends on what section of track they're on, if they can do that or not. So I can't really tell you where it happens, but every now and then it will happen along the route.
So as I'm looking out the window, we are in a very tight green canyon, which means it's green,
We're doing
it's trees.
60, about 60 miles an hour.
Doesn't feel like it.
No.
And it's quiet.
Yes.
Probably hear the whistle
Yeah.
blowing in the back.
Well, that's
I hear the train a-coming.
There's
coming down the track.
There's 3 cars in front of us before the engine, so
it's a ways away.
It's a ways away, yeah.
So, is there much sightseeing to do, or are we going to be in fields of green or forests of green all the way?
It's a combination of fields of green and industrial. So you get a good look at the back door of all these industrial
They
plants.
haven't landscaped for the tourists on the
they
train.
don't landscape for the tourists, believe me. An interesting point is around Salisbury and Spencer, because Spencer, of course, has a lot of rail yards.
It's got a museum, I think.
It does have a museum,
which we haven't been to
yet.
I've only been in North Carolina for 28 years.
Yeah,
Give me a break.
come on.
It takes a while.
But it's kind of neat when you cross
I've only been
over.
to Kitty Hawk once or twice.
Only once, I think, for us. But you cross over the Yadkin River, which is pretty cool, and that's around Spencer.
Crossing a big highway, I guess.
This is in Durham, so I forget what that is, but yeah, and it's neat.
15501 probably on its way up to
well, let's take a look and see.
I-85.
I mean, you can bring up Google Maps and you can keep an eye on where you're going. And you can. What's interesting is this is when you know that it's almost real time, because you can see what bridges are coming up.
And they said they had Wi-Fi. You found the Wi-Fi to be spotty?
It's spotty, yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting your
No.
Google Map. But they have a power outlet or two?
They have 2.
Two power outlets at every seat, just on the wall.
Yep. And if you want to spread out and get work done, they do have 2 tables in each car that will seat 4 people.
And one of them was busy when we got on, and one was empty, so we could have
gone there. The downside to that is that you get more of the noise in either the hot or the cool, because you're right beside the door. But in the wintertime, if you dress appropriately, it's not so bad. But plenty of mornings that I've gone down on the 7 a.m. train, I get quite a chunk of work done uninterrupted. And
you were telling Tim that you've seen in the time you've been doing it,
I've seen an uptick.
An uptick in occupancy. How would you describe it? Are most trains full? Is it? You've taken a variety of trains. You're often on a 7 a.m. You're often on a weekend.
Yeah, obviously, I think a lot of people get on Raleigh, Cary, Durham, Greensboro. It tapers off, because obviously people going between Kannapolis or Salisbury and Charlotte probably isn't a big deal. So that tapers off the farther you get down the track.
Station stop. Burlington is next.
Yeah, Burlington. Because there's a lot of colleges, if you think about it, along this route, and so now, since school started up again.
School's ending up again.
Yeah, it's ending now. Yeah.
This is May, and this, by the way, it is
May
the Saturday
Day.
noon train that we took. So to give you an idea, and I'm seeing the car maybe about 2/3, 3/4 full at this point. And it was pretty empty when we got on.
It will probably fill up today. I mean, most of the time, when I ride, I don't get anybody beside of me, but now and then I will.
We described some fairly interesting conversations you struck up with people.
Yeah.
So, given that it's the 2 of us, and so now we're at $150 worth of train ticket. Well, we're coming back on separate days, so. But if you got two people, it would be carpooling, and then it starts to make economic sense for driving. Of course, one person can drive.
Yes.
But this is more comfortable than a car, than most cars.
It is. It's more comfortable. You don't have to worry about traffic. Because I just feel drained when I get to wherever whichever I'm going to, Charlotte or Cary. I just feel drained.
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot of concentration. And you get frustrated when you get into traffic snarls and not making good time. So I arrived more refreshed, which is, this is about me, okay?
I guess one serious consideration is you arrive without a car. So
yes, but I Uber to my parents' place.
Or Lyft.
Or Lyft, yeah.
You don't do Lyft, I do
Lyft, yeah. And then they have a car, which they don't drive very much at all. So I take that.
I'm trying to give people who are listening to the podcast an idea what to do. They can't borrow your parents' car.
Well, once again, it's you got Lyft, or if you've got people that are picking you up, or friends and family, then
If you don't have to do a lot of driving where you're going.
No, and if you want, you could even just Charlotte has the Link system, which is a light rail.
Now that doesn't go to the train station yet.
Unfortunately, doesn't do that yet. No.
Could take a long walk.
Yeah, or you just Uber, down to the next station. Uber guy won't like it, but you can do that, and I could do that, but I just, it's too many hops.
So every once in a while, there's a little break in the trees, and you can look out and see some scenery.
Yep.
So we have taken a few rides, and you've taken a few more than I have, on the European high-speed rails.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love those. The Eurostar.
Yep. The rides we took together were from Basel,
Paris.
Switzerland to Paris.
Oh, yeah, we did. We did Basel to Paris, and that was high speed.
And then from Paris to London through the Channel.
Through the Channel, yeah.
Yep. And they describe these as 200-mile-an-hour trains. We did exceed 200 miles an hour for a few minutes.
Yeah, mostly it was like 180.
Well, 150 to 180 or so, somewhere in there.
But that's cooking.
It's very weird to look out the window and see those poles and stuff fly by. And go by a highway where people are driving 70 or 80 miles an hour.
Right, you're just going, wee!
They were probably a little noisier than this.
No. Oh, no, they were quieter than this.
This is very quiet.
Yeah, but you don't have the horn blowing on those, remember? Because they don't have crossings.
Yeah, but
so it's quieter.
What I'm saying is...
No, it's quieter. The Eurostar, it's quieter.
Okay, not taking the horn into consideration. This is a quiet ride, but we're not going 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was quieter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I guess I'm used to like the L in Chicago.
We screech.
Yeah.
rumble.
Yep. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
What other differences?
Well, on the Eurostar, you get a full meal. They bring wine out to you. It doesn't matter whether you're in coach or in first class.
And we had about the same ride, about a 3-hour ride from Basel to Paris, didn't we?
I think it was 3 or 4
hours.
Yeah. Yep. And you get white glove service, even better than first class on a plane, really.
And we weren't in first class.
No. So I don't know what they were getting up there.
Massages.
But I guess so, yeah.
Hot towels.
Yes, hot towels. So, that's missing here, but
How would you know what first class on a plane is like?
How would I know?
Yeah.
Because I fly it quite a bit. I get bumped up. Well, it's because I've been flying for however many years it's been. I'm almost about to hit 1 million miles on American. So, yeah.
Here's a secret, folks. Most of those folks up in first class, they did not pay for it.
No, they didn't pay for it. No,
You've never paid for first class, right?
No.
It's always an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
Based on your miles.
Based on miles, yeah.
And your sweet smile and pleasant personality.
No, that doesn't factor in at all. Not at all.
So back to the Eurostar, and we did a podcast. It's I was going to look it up and tell people where to go. You'll have. I didn't do that in advance, so I will put a link in the triangletalkshow.com website. And if you want to hear the podcast we recorded, it is in my ham radio show, but there was precious little ham radio discussion in it. And on the YouTube version, I'll give you the YouTube version. I think the audio podcast probably hard to find, but the YouTube version has home movie footage of a lot of the stuff that I shot on that trip, just kind of superimposed on top of the audio. It's not exactly a show and tell, although sometimes I was able to get it pretty close. So what a bonus for you, the listening audience. America doesn't have high-speed rails because we don't have rail beds capable of supporting that. I think is the case.
Yeah.
And they're talking about making them someday.
Yeah.
3.9. No defects.
That's good to know. No defects. We're not about to fly off the rails, which was always something I worried more about going 200 miles an hour.
Well, it was funny. I was thinking, maybe they should have seat belts on those trains. It's like, no, there's no reason, because if you stop suddenly, you're just going to be in a little brief spot
in the front of the train.
Yeah. So there was just no reason. But it's interesting because I do fly so much. When I get on the train, I always start looking for the seat belt and realize, nope, you don't need it.
Yeah. All right. I can't think of anything else to bring up.
We're good.
So
it's a nice little bonus.
Yeah. And welcome to the Triangle Talk Show podcast.
Thank you.
You're in episode, nothing else is going to come up before I get this on, so it will be episode 8. I didn't announce a title for the show at the beginning, but I think the title that I will apply is Podcast in Training. Because
very creative.
That works on several levels. Here we're still just trying to figure out. I'm not trying to figure out how to do a podcast. I've done hundreds and hundreds of them. I know how. I just don't know how to do this one.
Yeah.
So, have you ever listened to one?
I've listened to parts of them. I'm busy.
Yeah, they're hard to take right now, aren't they? This one will be popular. All right, I signed these off the same way as I did the old ham radio one.
Okay.
So my name is Gary Pierce.
And I'm Cindy Pierce.
No call signs because we're not doing the ham radio thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Over.
And out.